What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and we have made it to episode number 8. Guys, we only have 2 more episodes in Velma before this series is finally over, and as bad as Velma has been for my personal sanity, I gotta admit, I'm very appreciative of it because it has allowed us to pass 13,000 subscribers, guys. We are flying our way up as we try to hit 20,000 subscribers after just recently passing 10,000. So I appreciate all of you for all your support during not only this series, but watching The Last of Us reviews as well, watching my regular videos. I mean, you guys have been absolutely incredible. So for those of you that don't know, obviously I upload other videos other than reviews, so don't miss out those videos because YouTube doesn't always notify you when I upload them. Now, with that being said, guys, before we get into the review, of course, like I always say, try to bless me, give me a long view duration on this particular video because that helps us fight the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps get these reviews and my content out there. Now, with that being said, let us get into episode 8 for Velma. So every single episode follows kind of like typical tropes found in certain types of TV shows, right? Teen dramas, mystery shows, horror, whatever. Like it follows typical tropes. This one's following the whole flashback trope because most of the episode is played within flashbacks that kind of coincide with each other, and they make fun of each other based off of that. So we're gonna get into this review, and this one starts off with Velma in her classroom, remembering what it was like to be with her mother and what it was like when she first met Daphne. As you guys are aware, Velma and Daphne have this thing going on that they kind of don't want to admit that they like each other, but at the same time they do all the time, which they end up showcasing Velma at Daphne's birthday party for her 8th birthday, where she steals Daphne away. And then it comes back to her being in high school, where she's the awkward girl who ends up stealing Norval away, and she ends up talking about the fact that she had to basically steal all her friends away, and that Daphne kind of turned on her and she joined the popular crowd because she grew up to be very pretty, whereas Velma was obviously super ugly. And then she ends up taking off her very simplistic outfit where she had dressed up as a man in the last episode. If you guys missed that episode, go check out the review. It's pretty terrible because it's basically nothing but anti-man BS, and honestly, it was really hard to watch. It was hard to watch because it was so unbelievably cringe, and it was obviously written by a feminist who just has this mindset about what it's like to be a man. It was obviously written by a woman. Like, no man wrote themselves in there. You could tell that that's the viewpoint of men through a woman's eyes. That was the entire last episode. So in this episode, Fred's mom ends up trying to enlist the help of Velma, ironically, to help find Fred, because in the last episode, Fred went missing. Velma ends up trying to take Daphne to go do so, and then they end up doing this whole flashback thing where it says 2 days later. They end up doing this whole fast forward thing, not a flashback, but a fast forward thing where it says 2 days later, and then it's literally Velma and Daphne stuck in a rock by a cliffside in the woods, and then the title rolls, and then now we see Daphne literally yelling at Velma, saying that she really hates the fact that they became friends again. Obviously, they're going to be fighting, and then now it says 2 days earlier, Daphne's flashback. They're going to separate it based on who the flashback's for, because they even make a joke in this episode about how the audience is not smart enough to figure out what's going on, so we have to constantly tell them. This is literally what they think of you guys. I just want to make that very clear. This is what they think of the audience and the fans of multiple different IPs. They felt this way for Rings of Power. They felt this way for a lot of things. So you can kind of admit at this point that this is how they think. So fast forward, now we're at Daphne's flashback. Now Velma and Daphne are in the car after the whole Fog Fest thing, where Velma ends up getting very possessive and very jealous. Check this out. Well, she ends up making a joke actually about red pills. Now you guys know what that means. So this is a hardcore leftist taking a shot at right-wing people. Check it out.
Mustache fan, I took the red pill, and van owner. Daphne? Daphne! What have I told you about texting during my times of need?
So Velma's obviously very controlling, and they do mention this later on in the episode, which is ironic, and that's why I feel like this TV series is definitely on the nose. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, right? They know their tropes, they know what they're making fun of, they know the stereotypes that they're trying to portray. None of it's accidental, it's all purposeful. So we fast forward where Velma's talking to the 2 lesbian cops about why they don't want to hack the phone that they took off the serial killer in the last episode, and the cops say that without evidence, evidence. There's nothing they can do. But Daphne is very good at hacking phones, and they mention an incident as to Daphne hacking a phone in her past, and she getting in big time trouble for it. But they don't want to actually tell Velma what that incident was. Neither does Daphne, but Velma will not leave it alone, and she keeps trying to get it out of Daphne. Daphne makes a very typical left-wing talking point where they, the funny thing is with a lot of a hardcore left-wing, I'm not going to talk about regular left-wing, let's talk about hardcore left-wing. They like to treat those who are less fortunate as like pets, right? They try to treat them as pets, and they try to virtue signal often, and they love to feel bad, like they just love to feel bad, and they want to just say that they come from a place of privilege. That's where this whole white privilege thing came from. It came from other white people saying that they have white privilege. It's the white guilt thing. But look what she says about homeless people. Check this out.
Oh, wow. Look at all those homeless people. Each one a different story.
If it was literally not.
So she says each one a different story, as if she's trying to like virtue signal and talk about, oh, everybody has a story. It's very clearly she knows that she's from a place of privilege, or at least that's what she thinks in her mind. So she's trying to pass that off and trying to feel bad for random homeless people who she doesn't even know, and just drives past them like nothing happened. Velma accuses her of changing the subject because she doesn't want to talk about the incident, whatever that is. And then Daphne goes on this whole self-realization thing about the flashbacks, where she talks about flashbacks being used in TV and how they're basically terrible and they're so obvious. And then the moms join in about the flashbacks and how it should be from different points of view, and how they love how the text on the screen showcases when it's from a different point of view. And then we end up going to Fred's flashback, where it literally says Fred, same time as Daphne's flashback. So they try to make fun of themselves, which listen, at the end of the day, I can appreciate when a show tries to not take itself too seriously, but this show hasn't earned that respect, because this show literally is not just not trying to take itself seriously, it also doesn't take other things seriously. The writing is terrible, the jokes fall flat, none of it's funny whatsoever. The animation is okay at best, literally okay at best. And like I said, I'm very biased against American animation, but still, at the end of the day, it's not like the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then we flash forward and we see Fred's flashback. So Fred is underground, and he's been captured by the serial killer, and when he's in his room, he's trying to get out, but then he hears a voice, of a very familiar voice, of the three girls who were killed, and he looks behind him and notices that it's not them, it's their brains that are attached to machines with their names on it. You have Crystal, Brenda, and Lola. They all are attached to these machines that allow them to speak through their brains without their bodies. It's a very weird thing. But now this whole scene right here is leading me to believe that the theory that we were talking about with Gigi becoming Scooby-Doo and having her brain swapped into a dog, I really, really hope that comes true, because I will be extremely ecstatic to see that happen. It will be the ultimate like ending to a terrible show. It would just be so bad that it'll be almost good. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So we fast forward, and now we have Daphne's moms talking about the flashback thing again, because they're trying to make fun of it. They spend half the episode talking about that, by the way. It's a weird thing. Daphne ends up finding a black light, which she uses on Velma to showcase that she has a pizza stain on her shirt, because the joke here is that Indian people are very dirty. That's like... It's stupid. Like, yeah, you could joke about anything. I do agree, joke about anything. But this is why South Asians don't like you, Mindy, because you constantly make fun of your own people. It's weird. Like, I don't understand the self-hate here. So she got a little bit more information out of Daphne, that she basically admitted that she did hack somebody's phone that they know, but that she wasn't successful at it, and she had an obsession with the person that she hacked, and it led to nowhere, and she ended up being very disappointed.
Me and Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's all he had to say. But who the hell was it? Velma?
She tries to get more information about who the hell was it, and Daphne just won't give it up. Velma tells her to focus, and they use the black light to see the smudges on the screen to see what passcode that phone has. And of course, it's a 1234 number, and they make a joke about it being an old person who has this phone, and that it's like a grandpa. And that leads me to believe again that one of the killers is going to be definitely someone older. Could be the mayor, could be Velma's mom, who knows? But then we fast forward again, and they see that there's a picture of a certain mountain that they end up wanting to go to that has like a cabin in the woods and whatnot that belongs to Gigi. You're going to see in the future of this episode. And then we get a stupid flashback card again that says we're now going back to Fred's flashback, which again is happening at the same time as Daphne's flashback. They're constantly in your face about this, and again, it's not funny. I know they're trying to be funny, but it's not funny. You see Fred talking to the girls and noticing that in the book that they are planning to put those brains into somebody else. It's the same thing that we saw a couple episodes back with Project Scooby. And then the girls end up making fun of Fred because they find out that he likes Velma, and they say with the absence of them, with no pretty girls, that clearly the bar has been lowered, so to speak. And then he goes on his whole feminism thing where he talks to the girls and he tells them that he learned what the hottest part of a woman is, and that's her brain. Yes, we're still on this. We're still on Feminism Fred. I thought Feminism Fred was dead in the last episode, but apparently that's not the case. He is still full on swinging and simping for Velma. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. So we fast forward, and now we have Velma getting ready to go into the woods with Daphne, but Daphne says she can't go. And then when she asks why, who do we see other than Olive, who comes out of Daphne's house? Now, the whole thing about this scene is that it's supposed to showcase cheating kind of a thing, right? Like Daphne's essentially cheating on Velma with Olive. At least that's what Velma thinks, but they try to play it off, and then they end up admitting that Daphne is actually helping Olive take sexy photos, right? Sexy photos for a calendar that supports discrimination against hot girls. Like, what? It's the most stupid line. Check this out.
Today, Olive and I are taking pictures for the sexy calendar we sell to fight discrimination against hot girls.
What?
That was exactly my response. When they said discrimination against hot girls, I was like, what? Like, I know it's a joke. I know it's a joke, but it's like, stupid. I don't know how else to put it other than that. So they're making a calendar. Now, mind you, these are like 15-year-old girls, okay? These are literally like underage girls. And once again, they're talking about taking sexy photos for a calendar, apparently, that they sell. If they're selling a calendar with underage girls, I would be very wary of that town who's buying those calendars. It's kind of crazy. So what Velma ends up doing is she ends up faking a hallucination because she's trying to get Daphne's attention again. But she notices Olive actually try to sneak a little touch on Daphne. Or she might be just imagining that in her head. Let me play it.
Hey, let's try a picture where I'm only wearing flowers on my privates.
So that makes her want to fake a hallucination because she knows Daphne's going to feel bad and want to go with her just to protect her from her hallucinations. And then it fast forward to where we were before, where she basically knows at this point that she faked a hallucination to get her out of hanging out with Olive. Check this out.
You faked a hallucination just to keep me from hanging out with Olive.
No, this isn't Velma's fault, Daphne. It's Norval's.
So now it's shown to us that it's not just those two who are stuck on the rock. It's actually Gigi and Norval that are stuck on the rock with them for some odd reason. Now we're going to go into a flashback as to why those two are there, because like I said, this entire thing is all flashback. So it says 2 days earlier, Gigi's flashback. We see Norval and Gigi making out in front of the Gigi's house. Gigi's trying to constantly send signals to Norval, but of course he's just such a beta male that he has no idea any of those signals, and he just can't pick up on any of them. And he's also still obsessed with Velma, and she knows that. She asks him to unzip her dress, and he does, but he says that he does it for his mom all the time, which I thought was weird, and then walks away like it's nothing. Then he ends up getting a text from Velma, and Velma says if they can enlist the help of Norval, and Norval remembers that Gigi said that she has a cabin up by Mount Crystal, and he asks if it's empty. Gigi thinks that Norval's trying to hit on her, and they lead to the illusions that that's the case, but then we come to find out that that's not the case. Gigi ends up trying to surprise Norval with some romantic thing at the cabin and gets ready for him, and then we see Fred again doing some weird experimentation on rats. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but he ends up blowing up a ton of rats, and then he ends up talking to Brenda, her brain, and then gets to a point where he goes to kiss the brain, which is just weird. I don't really know what the deal was that. And then Norval ends up showing up with Daphne and Velma at the cabin, and Gigi is essentially naked because she was waiting, once again, for Norval. So this is, again, these are 15-year-old kids, like on average. Like, I don't really know what's going on here with this TV show, but I guess it is what it is. So they're crazy. Yeah, so Norval ends up showing up with Gigi and Daphne and Velma, and Gigi's just essentially pissed. Norval's like, you never drop me hints. And then they do an entire montage of Gigi just basically only dropping hints. She did it in a car when they were making out by themselves at some random mountain pass. They did it under bleachers at the school. They did it in some janitor's office. I mean, there was a ton of hints that Norval just could not pick up on because, again, they're trying to showcase that he's a super beta male. So they explain the situation as to why they are there, and Gigi's just not having it because now she feels like her life was at risk because the fact that the serial killer is close to her cabin, and her being one of the hottest girls in the school, she has a problem with that because now her life was basically at risk and she had no idea, and she feels like Norval knew and Velma knew the entire time and they never told her. So fast forward, they end up talking about how they're stuck again, and Norval ends up having an emergency kind of like clicker. So when he presses it, life support comes, and they're gonna make yet another white man joke. Check this out.
Abort mission? Sir, if we don't pull these kids out right now, they won't live through the night.
That's a risk we'll have to take. Fred Jones, the son of a wealthy white family, has gone missing.
So again, they're trying to show the whole white privilege thing. It's such a tiring trope at this point. Like I said, every joke is on the table, and I'm okay with that. But after a while, when you're only making jokes about one side and you're not trying to switch it up a little bit, it gets really annoying and really boring. And to hear yet another white privilege joke in a show that talks about white people in literally every single episode, it's very, very tiring. So the girl ends up in the helicopter. She ends up saying that she's not going to abandon them, that she'd rather die than break her code of conduct. And when she goes down into the pit, she has one question to ask them. Check this out.
I took an oath, and I'd rather die than break it. Have any of you seen Fred Jones?
What? No.
So again, it's another joke. She's not going to rescue the colored people. She's going to rescue the white Fred Jones. She wanted to make sure that she covered all her bases before leaving them to die, because Fred Jones, the white man, is much more important to rescue. It is just so unbelievably stupid. So then again, we go to another flashback of them in the actual cabin. Daphne is live streaming Norval and Gigi arguing because that's a thing apparently. There's no respect for that. Gigi makes a joke about wearing edible underwear for Norval because that's weird. And then when they go outside, they see Daphne and Gigi essentially hugging, and Velma thinks that they're kissing. She runs over there thinking Daphne's doing something, and then come to find out that Daphne and Gigi cannot move because the rock from under them cracked, and if they move, they're gonna fall under their weight. And then Velma ends up saying this.
Legally, both of you should still be in car seats.
Basically calling them super skinny and attacking their body again. So this is the ironic thing from someone who attacks their own body multiple times throughout every single episode. So they fall in, and that's how they end up falling into the rock, and they want to find a way to get out of there, but then they realize that the only way to get out of there is for one of them to take the fall. But before that happens, Daphne makes a confession in case she dies, and that confession is that Gigi is the one that she was obsessed with about a year ago, and Gigi is the one who she tried to hack her phone. So the entire time, Daphne's been hiding the fact that her and Gigi have had a thing in the past, and Velma had no idea about it. At which point, Daphne ends up telling Velma that she wanted Velma to get jealous because she likes when Velma is being possessive. She likes when Velma is being toxic, essentially, which I find very ironic, to be honest with you, because women talk about toxic masculinity all the time, and then here you are with Daphne praising Velma for being a toxic female. It's like, I don't even know if they're even aware at this point just how like on the nose that they are with this stuff. So they all end up trying to figure out whose fault it is, and then when they're trying to scramble to see who's going to take the fall, all of them fall. So all four people fall into the pit, and when they do, they end up landing in the crystal mines where Daphne was with her parents previously, so she recognizes the area. And then they continue forward, and when they do, Gigi ends up getting pissed because a couple of rocks fall from the ceiling, and on all of them, mind you, not just one of them. Rocks fall from the ceiling, and Norval ends up going to protect Velma and not Gigi. So Norval ended up leaving Gigi to die, which I thought was pretty funny. But of course they don't die, they all live. So after that whole cave-in, they fast forward, and now you got Fred, who apparently slept with the brain. I don't even know where to even go with this, but Fred slept with the brain. Very, very strange. They even notate that he slept with all the brains, apparently. Brenda in the back talking about how Krista hooked up with Fred, and they all hooked up with him, and it's weird, man. This whole brain thing is just very strange. Fred ends up saying something really, really weird, but then it gets cut off, where Daphne is telling Velma that they're basically too messed up to be friends, and Velma ends up kind of asking Daphne out. Check this out.
Maybe it's time we try being girlfriends.
Girlfriends? Seriously?
I'm sorry, I'm a flawed man.
So they don't get the resolution they're looking for because they end up hearing Fred and they want to go rescue him. The brains end up talking about pregnancy scares and stuff. It's strange. I don't really know what's going on with that. It's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. Velma ends up finding Fred, and Fred ends up saying that the ghost of Edna Perdue has finally come for him, but then he realizes it is Velma. Asks her what she's doing here. Daphne ends up freaking out because it's the brains of the pretty girls that she once knew, and the girls talk to her. Check it out.
And don't say it like it's more shocking than you hanging out with Velma again.
So again, even without their bodies, they're still the typical angry hot girls. And then we fast forward now, and the cave is starting to collapse now. As Fred tried to escape, he's unable to escape, leaving the girls behind, even though they rescued him. So Velma ends up asking where's her mom. If all of this is going down and the brains are being switched and her mother has to be involved, where is she? And the girls say they have no idea. And then Velma ends up making another joke about South Asians. Listen to this.
Brains, where's my mom? Indian woman, lots of opinions on weight and personal hygiene.
The only person we've seen is that freak in the well.
Again, the whole joke about weight and personal hygiene, because this is what she thinks of. So I'm telling you, man, the fact that she attacks South Asians and Indian people so much, I think it's insane. You know what I mean? Like she's able to make whatever joke she so chooses to, but damn, man, you need to pick a new target, because attacking the same target over and over and over again not only doesn't lead to stagnation, but then it leads to people hating you. Like they start to realize that it's not a joke. Like it's real. What you're saying is you're not joking. You really mean what you say. You really hate yourself. You hate your own people. So fast forward again, the cave is collapsing on top of the brains. Daphne tells Velma they have to go. She says she refuses to leave until she finds her mom. And then what happens is the ground ends up splitting. Velma wants to take the brains with her. So they make this joke, since she's so overweight, she's incapable of jumping just a little gap like that. And they make it into this whole dramatic scene playing on the fact that they're calling her overweight. Check this out.
She's not gonna make it!
Oh my God,
So all that drama for literally just a couple inches, but that's what it is. But she ends up falling anyway because the ground ends up shaking, and then someone grabs her and saves her. And who was it other than her crazy psycho mother? So her mom is alive. At first I thought this was a hallucination, but it's not. Apparently it is her mother. Somehow, some way, just magically found them at the right moment. Picks her up. They have a little bit of a moment, and then they start running away. Of which Velma's mother ends up revealing that she is the one that has the mystery machine. But she, instead of calling it the mystery machine, she calls it the mystery jalopy. Check this out.
Dr. Purdue's research.
I'll tell you everything when we get out of here. Now get in this mystery jalopy.
So they try to make that into a joke again, because they know everybody's waiting for her to call it the mystery van, but she calls it the mystery jalopy. Again, I just think it's a joke that falls completely flat, but if you find that funny, then that's up to you. So it looks like they're about to die, because they're driving down a tunnel, which leads to a spot where essentially there is a ton of lava. Right as they're about to hit it, Gigi's talking to Norville in the cabin, talking about the fact that she knows that he still loves Velma. And then out of nowhere, you hear rumbling, and they end up flying out of a hole right next to the cabin, where they finally embrace. Daphne, Fred, and Velma say they don't want to ruin the moment, and then the episode ends on that note. The after credit scene shows a newscaster talking about how Fred has finally been found alive, and they're basically crediting Fred with single-handedly locating the brains of the girls, and also their cleaning lady, Dia Dorkley. Check this out. It's pretty funny.
Single-handedly located the brains of the murdered hot girls and their cleaning lady, Dia Dorkley. Though...
So again, it's another joke on Indian people being in the cleaning business. I mean, I don't know, man. And then they say there's only one big question left remaining. What is the cleaning lady's immigration status? They really say that. Listen to this.
Dia Dorkley. Though one big question still remains. What is the cleaning lady's immigration status?
Okay.
Bro, it's crazy. It is crazy. I'm laughing out of pure just like shock at this entire TV show. So Velma says that her mother has to tell her who the serial killer is, because her mother does know who the killer is. And then when she's about to say it, she says that she forgot, which signals that she is suffering from some sort of amnesia. And then the episode ends from there. So once again, guys, this entire episode literally was stupid, okay? There was nothing funny in it. Very, very little that was good about it. I couldn't even find something interesting that I could give it half a point, or something along the lines that would make me want to, like, truthfully be interested in this, to be honest with you. The mystery is falling short for me. The entire revelation of Velma's mother was very underwhelming. I thought they were going to really do some sort of revelation of Velma's mom much more justice in this, but she just randomly shows up to save Velma at the most convenient moment in time. It just didn't really sit well with me. They could have did it so much better, in my opinion. I thought they were really saving that for something important. So ultimately, this episode sucked. It didn't have anything that was worth it, in my opinion, like some of the other episodes. And I'm going to have to give this episode 8 for Velma a staggering 1 out of 10. Yes, a 1 out of 10. I'm serious. This show, this episode was terrible. And the fact that they wasted an opportunity with showcasing Velma's mother and revealing her mother finally, they just wasted it on some random moment, I felt really fell short, and that kind of ruined the episode even further. Even though the episode was trash to begin with, it just made me like not even care. Like I didn't even care before. I damn sure don't care now. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.